Hey guys, welcome to what I hope will be the practical application for our interior lighting tutorial. I'm going to try to finagle this in such a way that I can do it feasibly. We're going to be working with a lot of different colors in here, although some of them are going to be approximate. And this is just a quick doodle of Kara's parents' bedroom from Chapter 5 of 7-Inch Kara. I just wanted to, instead of making up something completely from scratch, I wanted to work with something I'd already developed. So the first thing I'm going to do, and honestly I should probably go grab a Daisy Well palette, but I just don't have the room at my desk anymore, is I'm going to mix up the color for the wall and put down a base coat. I probably should have painted the window first, but I can go back and do that after. Y'all remind me. Y'all like tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, you gotta paint the yellow in the window. Sun coming in. And although it's not live yet, I still have a bonus comic to get, 2 bonus comics actually to get through. Small Blessings, which is a really cute comic about, and not in watercolor, it's actually in ink and digital, about Kara finding Dusty's egg and raising him. So if you like geckos and overly cute things, you should definitely go check that out. And then I have a Q&A comic after that. But then Chapter 5, and we lead in with Kara's parents' bedroom, so you guys will be able to see that soon enough. Anyway, got that base coat down. I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to color in that window. So now that that has had a chance to dry, I'm going to go back in and retroactively fill in that window that I should have filled in before. Shoop-a-doop-doop-boop. Just some light yellow, 'cause I goofed. Alright, of course we got to let that dry. So this is going to be our lighter wall. This is going to be our darker wall. We need to let that yellow dry. In Kara's parents' house, they have sort of dark brown wood floors, since it's a dollhouse. Well, not all dollhouses have that, but a lot of them do. That's like the de facto. And I'll go ahead and start mixing that. Kind of only rolling with 2 brushes today, so this might not cut it. But I'll go ahead and put it on the floor. And we're also going to have to think about cast shadows. I'm not worried about mixing shadow colors or anything like that. We're really going to be focusing mostly on local color today. I do owe you guys tutorials on mixing shadow colors. I know I'm mixing skin colors as well, but we're really going to be focusing today on local color primarily. And getting nice sharp contrast in cleanly delineating forms. And then I'm going to want to put that same color here on the bottom of the windowsill, but this is wet and I still need to do that. So parts of our floor have dried, other parts have not. The joys of using cheap watercolor paper. I'm going to go ahead though. Oh, that's going to be too dark. I wonder if I can kind of blend it out on the paper. With nicer papers you can. So I am using the Magello Mission Gold 24 color set that I recorded the swatch and unbox for it, and I have no idea when you guys are going to see it, but I really like these watercolors and I'm excited about doing my field test with them soon. Hopefully I can share the video with you guys, because I think they are a really good, affordable watercolor solution for people who want something nice that isn't expensive and performs well. Okay, so unlike this paper, which is not performing well. So regarding our floor, I still need to paint that and I'm going to need to hit the slats because those are blocking the light, so those are going to be dark. And then I need to, at the very least, get this slat down here and get it nice and dark because it's on this wall. So it's got some of the same lighting effect going on. In fact, I'm going to just dip down in there and kind of fix that. Yeah. And then, of course, let it dry. So, things have dried a little bit. Hopefully we can get in here and get some color down. I know, I'm just going to sing to you guys. I'm sorry. You could just, I guess you could just deal with it. I don't know. And that's going to need additional layers of color, and I'm going to have to go back and do more on the slatting as well. But I think even with as little as I've gotten done so far, you can sort of see how the lighting and the contrast are starting to build up. And when I work digitally, it's actually a lot easier to do this because I can just use multiply and fill layers rather than having to think about it. Alright, so I'm going to do the cast shadow where the bed is. And then a little bit of cast shadow where the rug is. And it's okay if it's not perfect, because it's a demonstration. And then I need a really red brown, because their headboard and their two side tables are both a lighter shade than the floor. And if I was being smart about this, I would paint all my lighter objects first and then do my darker objects, just because when you're doing like glazes or light washes, that can reactivate local color and it can cause bleeding. But for this little demonstration, I honestly don't care that much. And this will probably bleed in too, since we've got some wet into wet adjacent areas. Maybe not. So I need to let those dry, and I still need to do more along this area. Alright, so of course these are not dry, but these are closer to dry. I'm going to try to weasel my way on over into that with some darker color. Might not be able to get it. Let's see. Come to me. Come to me, Van Dyke Brown. I need to summon you. Oh, come on. Might have to grab a little black in there and cheat a little bit. Or even some purple. Okay, so that's a little bit darker. Then I need to get in here with a steady hand. Using a blunt brush is often not good. And sort of delineate that contrast as we're moving away from the light. And then I'm going to need to do those slats, but I'm just still not really in a good position to do that. So those can wait. Now, this here in Kara, it's one of those velvet jewelry boxes, and they use it to store things like clothing, whatever. So for that, I'm going to start with indigo with a little bit of black, because it's a soft and rounded object, so I really want to be able to build up my color. However, it's adjacent to several wet areas, which means, as you guys don't know, that I'm gonna have to wait. However, I can get this rug, which I believe is a light blue gray. And I apologize, my Discord is just booming today. I'm just so popular, you guys. And I'll go ahead and do, that's not really the right color, but I really don't care. Do the first layer on this, and I'm just going to do a fill. And then afterwards, I'm going to go in and do some shadows. Because it's like hand knitted, so it's one of those big, for Kara, since they're Lilliputians, it's one of those hand knitted sort of things. So it's going to be really chunky and it's going to have a lot of texture to it. So I'm going to do another, whoa, that is way too dark. That's a shame, because I might have ruined that. I thought that was a brown, like a light brown, not like a super dark brown. Let's see if I can. Oh my gosh. Alright, fine. Fine, we'll roll with it. We'll keep going. I'm trying to darken up these side tables a little bit. This one's going to be darker because the sun would be blocked, not this dark, but the sun would be blocked by the bed. And this one, it would be, see, this is the lightest, so I guess technically this one would be a little bit darker, not as dark as I'm painting it. I apologize. And then we'll get this as well, and then blend that out because it's kind of a curved surface and there's a cast shadow from the pillows, so it wouldn't be super dark. And then I'll go in with that really dark brown that is probably black and brown mixed together. And I'm gonna get this right here, and I'm just gonna ruin it by being all super heavy-handed. And then I'm gonna try, oh, that's not gonna work. I apologize for the crummy art and the shaky hands and the ruining things, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm trying to show you. And now it looks like a prison cell. Add a little brown in there. And what I do on Kara pages is I actually, because it's much larger than this, I will do like a light brown, and then I will do just the centers with the dark brown so that there's like, you can tell there's light coming from behind it. But for this little demonstration, I'm just not going to do that. And then I'll do, this is still wet, but I'll do some sort of textural woven-y shadows becoming more pronounced as we move away from the light. And that's going to take forever to dry. So now that things have dried just a little bit more, I'm going to grab some more of those blues, try to get it a little darker. That might be too dark. And oh yeah, it's going to be too dark. But I'm just going to use this to illustrate doing sort of the last bit of shadows, and then hitting the edge there, and then even hitting this edge of the rug. Because even things like rugs have mass, they take up space. I mean, if I wanted to be legit, I could even like kind of cobble the edges to imply the knit edge. And of course, if I was being really legit, I would even do the sunlight as, you know, it's cast upon the bed. I'm not going to do that. Not for such a small demonstration. But I think I have images in Kara, again, in Chapter 5, which is coming up soon, and you should check it out. So, or you could actually go check out the tutorials I have going up on my blog, because a lot of them are very comics focused, and I think I might have some better demonstrations of what I'm talking about here. So I need to absorb all that excess water. There we go. Wash that out. And then, I'm not going to get started on it yet, but the bed is like a red and yellow quilt. So that is something to start thinking about. I can even grab some of the yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in batches. I'm going to do like all the light yellow and then shade the yellow and then do all the light red and then shade the red. And I think that'll help. On the cheap paper like this, I think that'll help prevent bleeding. Alright, let's get those yellow panes, yellow quilt thingies, sorry guys. Let's get the yellow squares handled. And they're in a checkerboard pattern. And you guys are probably noticing that I'm not actually finishing every single thing before I start the next thing. Like this is still unpainted. This is still like halfway done. I usually even, I used to tone everything and then work on developing color, and that kind of helped me get a feel for the colors. And I'll still do that with scenes where I'm still determining the color of everything. But now I just kind of work a little more organically, I think. Kind of more in stages and just sort of develop what I need to as I've gotten a feel for the paints, because some of these colors are going to be a little more opaque, so they're going to be easier to like reactivate if you put super wet washes next to them, so those have to be done last, that kind of thing. And I have loads of other tutorials where I do talk about that more in depth, so I'm not really going to go into that right now, but I am going to let this dry and then I'm going to do the red. Oh, taking a long time to dry. I have one stubborn patch there, so I'm gonna go ahead and start filling in some of the red. And I like how my cat waits until the camera starts for him to start tearing up the carpet, because he knows I don't want to yell at him if I'm recording. And you see, I am having some bleeding problems, but I kind of knew that was going to happen because that's soaking wet, and I'll just deal with it later. And I know I'd said, oh, I'm going to do another layer of yellow before I do any red, but I lied to you guys. Flexibility is an important skill for any art. And changing your mind is totally legit. Anyway, now I'm going to let that dry, and hopefully my paper will dry a little bit quicker so we can get this finished. So once the red dries, I can go in onto this black surface and either darken it, or I can do like I did with the walls, leave this white, make this the second, not white, leave this light, make this the second darkest, and make this the third darkest because it's facing away from the light source here. Okay, so at least the areas adjacent to the red have had a chance to dry. So I can, oh, that's gonna be too dark. Why am I always mixing my colors? Too dark, y'all. It's okay, we'll fix this in a second. So I'm gonna get those sides, and then I'm going, because this is a curved surface, I'm gonna hit that and then go in with a damp brush and kind of blend that out a little bit. And of course we're going to have to give that another layer, but that is a later problem, not a right now problem. Then I'm going to do the pillows at the top in the same sort of blue that matches the rug, but this is so dark it's bugging me, so I'm going to go in and just kind of darken that up a little bit. And then with the pillows, they're mostly going to be facing the light, although less light as we move away from the window. And then I'll blend that out because they're curved surfaces. And then I do want to get really much darker with my browns, so go in down here, kind of fill that in. I know I've left some areas lighter than I should have. do the same up there, or at least try. All right. And then if I didn't have like piles of water over here, I could go in here and just kind of denote the edge on that headboard. And wait for everything to dry. So, gonna go in here, up the contrast on this since we're moving away from the light. And I gotta be careful because this area is still wet. But hopefully, as rough as this is in many areas, I hope you guys are kind of getting the gist of what I'm trying to convey. So go ahead and do another layer on the yellow. And you guys can probably also see why this is 90-pound Canson bulk watercolor paper. Very, very inexpensive student grade watercolor paper. Very thin, like cardstock weight. And it is buckling all over the place. And I'm trying not to be heavy-handed with too much water. And I'm pointing this out since we're here, since it's relevant. It just makes painting like this a lot harder, which is why I recommend you guys secure your paper, stretch your paper, or and tape it down, or use something heavier than this. I'm using this because it is very economical. And I'm also running out, waiting on another shipment of watercolor paper to come in from Dick Blick. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and do a little bit, knock out some of that excess water, a bit of contrast there. And even use this bottle just to hold that down so it can dry a little flatter. Finally, at the last step. Ooh, got too much right there. And I'm just going to work on shading some of these reds. And I know this looks kind of sloppy. I promise my regular watercolor isn't like that. But it's fine for a demonstration because I like to think you guys kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to show you. And in order to convey what I'm conveying here, you don't even have to be particularly good. You just have to stay consistent with your lighting, and you can kind of convey a lot with very little. I mean, we didn't use any shadow colors, we didn't use any fancy blends, any interesting techniques. It was really just a lot of layering and then some wet into wet blending in order to diffuse the color a little bit. It was very, very simple, and I think it is really easy to replicate something like this. So I believe in you guys. Go home or spend the next hour, sketch out a scene, practice lighting it, practice your contrast. I'm sure it'll turn out great. When you got some time, head on over to 7inchkara.tumblr.com or 7inchkara.com and see how I handle this in my comic pages. And if you're looking for more wonderful watercolor tutorials, make sure you head on over to natosoup.blogspot.com and check out my watercolor basics. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope this shed some light on some things, and I look forward to seeing you guys with another tutorial really soon. Bye guys!